Have you ever found yourself giving your all to a woman, texting her constantly, doing everything to impress her, only to feel like the more you chase, the further away she drifts? It's almost like chasing a butterfly. The harder you run after it, the more it flies out of reach. But the moment you sit still, the butterfly sometimes lands gently on your shoulder. That's the paradox men often forget in relationships. Chasing rarely gets you love. It usually gets you ignored. Before we dive in, I want you to do two things. First, make sure you subscribe to this channel and like this video. Second, watch this entire video till the end, because the 10 lessons I'm about to share won't just improve your love life. They'll change the way women see you forever. Now, let's begin this journey. Lesson number 1, the illusion of chasing. Let me ask you something. Be honest with yourself for a moment. Have you ever liked someone so much that you found yourself doing things you never thought you'd do? Staying up all night waiting for their reply, checking your phone 100 times a day, replaying their last words in your head as if they were music? We've all been there. You meet a woman and suddenly she feels like the missing piece of your life. Every smile of hers feels like a sunrise, every glance like a spark of lightning. And in that rush of emotion, you think, if I just show her how much I care, she'll see it too. So you start chasing. You text her first every time. You call her even when she doesn't pick up. You try to make her laugh. Buy her little things, compliment her looks, hoping that the more you give, the closer she'll get. But let me ask you, how did that end for you? Did she come running into your arms? Or did you feel her slipping away? Because here's the hard truth. The more you chase, the more she runs. Not because she's cruel, not because she doesn't like attention, but because chasing changes the balance. It shifts the story. Instead of two people meeting halfway, it becomes one person running while the other walks away. Think about your first crush. Do you remember how badly you wanted them to notice you? Maybe you wrote their name in a notebook. Or maybe you stayed up rehearsing what you'd say the next day. And when they didn't notice, when they treated you like just another person, it hurt, didn't it? But looking back now, don't you see how much energy you gave away to someone who barely noticed? That's the illusion of chasing. You feel like you're moving closer to her, but in reality, every step forward pushes her a step back. Why does this happen? Because value isn't found in desperation, it's found in self-respect. When you chase too much, you send a silent message, I need you more than you need me.
And let's be real, have
you ever truly loved someone who needed you so badly they forgot to love themselves? Now imagine the opposite. Imagine you're still kind, still interested, but not desperate. You text her sometimes, but not every second. You enjoy her company, but you don't beg for it. You stay focused on your goals, your friends, your passions. Suddenly something changes. She begins to wonder, why isn't he chasing me like everyone else? Why does he feel so calm, so in control? What makes him different? That's when attraction sparks. Not when you run, but when you stand still. So let me turn this back to you. Think about that one woman you chased. Maybe in your past, maybe even right now. Did chasing bring her closer, or did it drive her away? And if it drove her away, isn't it time to stop running and let her come toward you? This is the first lesson. Every man must learn chasing creates the illusion of progress. But in love, illusions always break. Lesson number 2, desire cannot be forced. Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever tried to make someone love you back, only to feel like the harder you tried, the colder they became? It's almost painful, isn't it? That sinking feeling in your chest when you're doing everything you can. Yet deep down you know their heart just isn't meeting yours halfway. We've all been there. You see a woman, and she feels like everything you've ever dreamed of. Her smile, her energy, the way she lights up a room. And you think, if only she could see how much I care, she would want me too. So you start giving more. You text more, call more, compliment more. You bend over backwards to show her your feelings, believing that if you just try hard enough, she'll finally feel the same way. But here's the reality. Desire cannot be forced. Let me give you an example. Think about laughter. You can't make someone genuinely laugh at a joke they don't find funny. You can try repeating it, explaining it, even acting it out. But if it doesn't spark something inside them, it won't happen. Love works the exact same way. Attraction is either there or it isn't. You can't push it into existence. Now think back to your own love story. Was there ever a time you chased someone so much that, instead of getting closer, she started pulling away? Maybe she stopped replying as quickly. Maybe her voice became shorter. Maybe she even told you she just wasn't ready or didn't feel the same way. And you were left wondering, but I gave her everything, why wasn't it enough? Because here's the truth, my friend. Love isn't earned by effort, it's sparked by connection. It's not about how many texts you send or how many compliments you give. It's about chemistry, energy, timing, and most importantly, authenticity. And here's the beautiful part. When you stop trying to force desire, something shifts. Instead of running after her, you stand still. Instead of pouring all your energy into convincing her, you invest that energy into yourself, your growth, your passions, your life. Suddenly you become magnetic, because nothing is more attractive than a man who doesn't need to convince anyone to love him. So let me ask you again, have you ever had someone love you when you weren't even trying? Maybe it was in school, maybe in college, maybe even at work. You were just being yourself, laughing, living, focusing on your own life, and out of nowhere, someone admired you. That's proof that desire isn't forced, it's felt. The moment you try to make her want you, you lose her. But the moment you focus on being the best version of yourself, she starts to notice you in ways you never imagined. That's the second lesson every man must learn. Desire is not something you chase, it's something you attract. Lesson number 3, women respect what stands still. Let me ask you something, have you ever noticed how people treat things that are rare and unmovable compared to things that are always available? Think about a mountain. You can't push it. You can't beg it to move. It simply stands tall and unshakable, and because of that, people respect it, admire it, even travel across the world just to see it. Now compare that to water in your hands. The more you try to hold it tightly, the quicker it slips away. Women view men in much the same way. They don't truly respect a man who bends, shifts, and abandons his own values just to gain her approval. Sure, in the beginning she might enjoy the attention, but deep inside she knows, if he's willing to give up who he is for me, how strong is he really? Think about it. Have you ever changed yourself just to make a woman like you? Maybe you pretended to enjoy music you hated. Maybe you skipped time with your friends just because she wanted something else. Maybe you said yes when everything inside you wanted to say no. In the moment, it feels like the right move because you're afraid of losing her. But over time, she starts losing respect. And once respect is gone, love follows right behind it. Let me share a story you might relate to. There was a young man who fell for a girl in college. She was his dream, beautiful, smart, the kind of woman who could silence a room just by walking in. He wanted her so badly that he shaped his entire life around her. If she liked a certain band, he'd pretend to be a fan. If she wanted to go out, he'd cancel his plans. If she disagreed with his opinion, he'd change it to match hers. At first she smiled. She enjoyed the attention. But slowly she grew distant. Why? Because he had no spine. He wasn't standing still like a mountain. He was bending like a reed in the wind. And deep down, she didn't feel safe with a man who couldn't hold his ground. Now picture a different kind of man. The one who has his values, his mission, his boundaries, and he doesn't move them for anyone. Not in arrogance, but in strength. If he says he's busy, he's busy. If he believes in something, he doesn't back down just because someone else disagrees. This kind of man becomes magnetic, not because he's cold, but because he's solid. And let me ask you, what kind of man do you think women truly want to stand beside? The one who melts at every request? Or the one who stands strong no matter the storm? Here's the truth. Women respect men who respect themselves. If you won't stand still for your own values, why should she believe you'll stand strong for her? That's the third lesson every man must learn. Women don't fall in love with men who chase their approval. They fall in love with men who hold their ground. Lesson number 4. Chasing reveals neediness. Let me ask you this. Have you ever been in love with someone so deeply that you felt like you couldn't breathe without them? You woke up thinking about them, went to bed thinking about them, and in between, you filled every silence with thoughts of how to win their heart. At first it feels romantic. You tell yourself, this is what true love is. I'll do anything for her. But slowly something happens. She doesn't smile as much when she sees your name on her phone. Her replies come later and later, and deep down you begin to sense the truth. The more you chase, the less she wants to be caught. Why? Because chasing reveals something that kills attraction faster than almost anything else, neediness. Let's be honest, we've all been needy before. Maybe you sent that double text when she didn't reply. Maybe you kept asking if she was upset when she just needed space. Maybe you felt jealous when she hung out with her friends instead of you. In those moments, you weren't showing love. You were showing fear. fear of losing her, fear of not being enough. And women can feel that fear. They might not say it, but they sense it. And instead of pulling them closer, it pushes them away. Because here's the thing. Women aren't drawn to men who need them to survive. They're drawn to men who choose them from a place of strength. Think about this. Imagine you're in a relationship where your partner clings to you constantly. They want to be with you every second. They ask for reassurance every hour. They panic when you're not around. At first it might feel flattering, but soon it feels suffocating, doesn't it? You start to lose attraction, not because you don't care about them, but because their neediness drains the mystery, the spark, the balance. It's the same when you chase a woman. Your neediness tells her, I'm not enough on my own. I need you to complete me. But let me ask you, do you really want to build a love story where you are the incomplete half, begging for the other half to fill you? Or do you want to build one where you're already whole, and she chooses you not because she has to, but because she wants to? Here's the shift you need to make. Instead of chasing, stand firm. Instead of clinging, breathe. Instead of needing her for validation, validate yourself. Build your passions, your health, your purpose. And when you do, you'll notice something powerful. Suddenly, women come closer. Not because you begged them to, but because your presence feels confident, calm, and complete. So think back to the times you chased. Did you come from a place of love or a place of need? Be honest with yourself. Because once you recognize the difference, you'll never chase the same way again. That's the fourth lesson every man must learn. Chasing doesn't show love, it shows neediness. And neediness isn't attractive. Lesson number 5, the power of absence. Let me ask you something. Have you ever missed someone so much that their absence felt louder than their presence? Maybe it was a girl you liked who suddenly stopped calling. Or maybe it was an old love who wasn't around anymore. Do you remember how your mind kept going back to them? Replaying the last conversation? The last smile? The last touch? Funny, isn't it? Sometimes when someone is gone, we feel them even more strongly than when they were right in front of us. That's the power of absence. But here's the mistake most men make. They never allow absence to work in their favor. They keep showing up, keep texting, keep chasing, until there's no room left for the woman to actually miss them. And when there's no room to miss, there's no space for desire to grow. Think about this. Have you ever had someone constantly around you, giving you all their time, all their attention, all their energy? At first it feels nice, but eventually it becomes overwhelming. You stop appreciating it because it's always there. Just like you don't notice the air you breathe until it's gone, you don't notice someone's presence until you feel their absence. Let me tell you a story you might recognize. There was a guy who fell hard for a woman. He thought the way to her heart was through constant attention. He called her every morning, texted her all day, and was available the second she needed anything. At first she enjoyed it, what woman wouldn't? But slowly she started pulling away. Not because he was unkind, but because he was always there. She never had a chance to wonder about him, to long for him, to feel his absence. Now contrast that with another man. He liked a woman too, but he didn't flood her with attention. He showed interest, yes, but he also gave her space. He was busy with his goals, his passions, his friends. He wasn't ignoring her, he was simply living his life. And because of that, she found herself thinking about him, wondering what he was doing, asking herself why he wasn't always available. And that curiosity, that wondering, turned into desire. So let me ask you, have you ever been on the other side of this? Have you ever liked someone who didn't give you constant attention, and you found yourself thinking about them more? Didn't it make you miss them, even crave them, just because they weren't always there? That's the lesson. Absence creates value. When you step back, when you give her space, you allow her the chance to feel your presence in a deeper way. Remember this, love doesn't grow when you smother it. Love grows in the spaces in between. That's the 5th lesson every man must learn. Don't be afraid of absence. Sometimes stepping back is the very thing that pulls her closer. Lesson number 6, attention is currency. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how the things you get for free, you often take for granted? But the things you have to work for, save for, or wait for, they stay valuable in your eyes for years. Think about your first paycheck. Do you remember how carefully you spent that money? How much it meant to you because you earned it? Now compare that to pocket change someone just hands you. You might not even notice when it's gone. That's exactly how attention works in relationships. Your attention, my friend, is a currency. And like any currency, Its value depends on how wisely you spend it. When you give unlimited attention to a woman without her earning it, without balance, without reason, it starts to feel like loose change. Too much of it, too freely, and it becomes worthless. Think about the times you've chased a woman. Did you text her first every single morning? Did you comment on every photo? Reply to every story? Compliment her endlessly? At first, she might have smiled. But after a while, didn't you feel her pull back? As if your presence didn't excite her anymore? That's because your attention, instead of feeling precious, became predictable. Let me tell you a story you might connect with. There was a man who adored a woman. He gave her everything. His time, his messages, his energy, his focus. She didn't have to do anything to earn it. She didn't even have to try. And you know what happened? She stopped valuing it. She stopped valuing him. Not because he wasn't a good man, but because his attention came too cheaply. Now think of another man. He also liked a woman, but his attention wasn't on sale. He gave it, yes, but in doses that were meaningful. When he complimented her, it felt real. When he reached out, it felt special. Why? Because he wasn't giving it every second. He was choosing when to give it. And because of that, his attention became gold. She valued it because it wasn't guaranteed. Let me ask you this. Who do you think she respected more? The man who gave it all away for free? Or the man who made her feel like his attention was something worth earning? This is the truth. Women don't want endless attention. They want meaningful attention, the kind that feels rare, deliberate, and genuine. So ask yourself, are you spending your attention like coins thrown in the street? Or like gold bars carefully placed where they matter most? Because the way you treat your attention determines the way others treat you. That's the sixth lesson every man must learn. Attention is currency. Spend it wisely, and it will buy you respect, value, and even love. Spend it carelessly and it becomes worthless. Lesson number 7, the magnetic effect of purpose. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how people are drawn to those who are deeply passionate about something? Maybe it was an artist who poured his soul into his work, or an athlete who trained with relentless discipline, or even a friend who chased his dreams no matter how crazy they seemed. Didn't their energy pull you in? Make you admire them, maybe even inspire you? That's the power of purpose. Now let's flip this into your love life. Have you ever been so focused on a woman that you made her your entire purpose? She became the center of your world. You thought about her every day, made her the reason behind your actions, and maybe even put your goals on hold just to be available for her. But here's the reality. When a man makes a woman his purpose, he loses the very thing that makes him attractive. Because true attraction doesn't come from chasing her. It comes from chasing something bigger than her. Let me share a story you might relate to. There was a young man who fell for a girl, and to win her over, he started neglecting his dreams. He skipped his studies, gave up his hobbies, even stopped hanging with friends, all because he thought she was the one. At first, she enjoyed the attention, but soon she began to see him differently. He no longer had that spark, that drive, that fire. He became predictable, dull, and dependent. And eventually she left. Now contrast that with another kind of man. This man also liked a woman, but she wasn't his world. His vision was. He woke up every morning chasing his goals, building his future, sharpening his skills. When she called, he enjoyed her company. But when she didn't, he was too busy chasing his mission to sit around waiting. She began to see something magnetic in him, not just because of his looks or words, but because of his purpose. Here's the truth. Women are drawn to men with direction. A man without purpose is like a ship with no sail, easily tossed around by the winds of others. But a man with purpose? He's like a captain steering his ship across the ocean, confident, certain, unstoppable. And here's the twist. You don't have to be famous, rich, or powerful to have purpose. Your purpose might be building your career, starting a business, improving your health, or even being the best version of yourself every single day. What matters is that you have a fire inside you that keeps you moving forward, no matter what. So let me ask you, when was the last time you chased your purpose harder than you chased a woman? Because the moment you do, you'll notice something powerful. Women start chasing you, not because you begged them to, but because your life has a gravity of its own. That's the 7th lesson every man must learn. Purpose is magnetic. Chase it and women will chase you. Lesson number 8. Chasing turns love into a transaction. Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever chased someone so much that you felt like you were always the one giving while they were always the one taking? Be honest. Did it ever feel like love was slipping out of your hands, no matter how hard you tried to hold it? That's because chasing turns love into a transaction, and nothing kills attraction faster than that. Picture this. You meet a girl you really like. At first, the chemistry is there. The texts are quick, the laughter is real, and the moments feel alive. But then, slowly, you start noticing that she responds less, cancels plans more often, and seems distracted when she's with you. And what do? You double your efforts. You text more, call more, give more. You tell yourself, if I just show her how much I care, she'll finally see my worth. But here's the painful truth, she doesn't. Because the more you chase, the more you're telling her that your love has conditions. It's no longer about mutual connection. It becomes a game of give and take. You give, she takes. You chase, she runs. And somewhere deep down, you start to feel it. That sting, that imbalance, that sense that you're no longer in a relationship, but in a transaction where the currency is your effort and the prize is her attention. Let me flip this and ask you, how do you feel when someone chases you too much? When every message, every call, every favor starts to feel like pressure, you don't feel free. You feel suffocated. And that's exactly how she feels when the balance shifts. Now here's the story twist. I once knew a guy who was head over heels for a woman. He bought her gifts, drove miles to see her, and rearranged his whole life just to be available for her. At first she enjoyed it, it felt flattering. But soon every gesture became less special and more expected. She stopped appreciating it. Why? Because love had become a transaction. His efforts no longer came from confidence, but from fear of losing her. And fear is not attractive, it's repelling. The truth is, real love is not about chasing. It's about creating space for someone to want to come closer. When you stop chasing, you stop begging for attention, and that's when you regain your value. Think about it this way. If someone has to be convinced to love you, is it even love? Or is it just a deal you're making? Silently hoping that your effort will one day be repaid. So let me leave you with this question. Do you want to be in a relationship where you're the buyer and she's the seller? Or do you want something real, something mutual, something where love flows freely without keeping score? That's the 8th lesson every man must learn. The moment you chase, love turns into a transaction. Stop running after her and let her choose to walk toward you. Lesson number 9, the mystery of self-control. Let me ask you something. Do you remember the last time you felt like saying something in the heat of the moment? Maybe to a woman you liked but later regretted it. Maybe you texted too soon, called too often, or confessed feelings before the right time. Be honest. Hasn't there been a moment in your love life where you wished you had just paused, just held back, just kept a little mystery alive? That's the power of self-control. And it's one of the most magnetic forces in attraction. Think about it. When you don't rush, when you don't reveal everything at once, when you show her that you're in control of your emotions, instead of being controlled by them, you create an aura of mystery. And mystery is irresistible. Let me tell you a story. I once knew a guy who had the biggest crush on this girl. She was beautiful, fun, and he couldn't stop thinking about her. So the moment she gave him a little attention, he went all in. He texted her good morning, good night, checked on her all day, and told her everything he felt. At first she smiled, it was sweet. But over time the excitement faded. Why? Because there was no mystery left. She knew exactly what he felt, exactly what he would do, exactly when he would text. He had no self-control, and because of that, she lost interest. Now compare this to another guy I knew. He liked a girl too, but he didn't rush. He showed interest, but he also held back. He didn't reply instantly every time. He didn't share every detail of his life in one go. He left space for her to wonder, to think, to imagine, and that space, that pause, that self-control made her chase him. She couldn't help it. She wanted to know more, wanted to see more, wanted to feel more. Let me ask you, who do you think she found more attractive? The one who poured everything out at once, or the one who kept a little mystery alive? The truth is, women are drawn to men who are in control of themselves, not men who are slaves to their emotions, impulses, or desires. Because when you control yourself, you show strength, you show discipline, you show that your world doesn't revolve around her, and that's what makes her want to be part of it. Think of your favorite movie. Do they tell you the ending in the first 10 minutes? Of course not. They build suspense, they create tension, they let the mystery unfold. That's exactly what self-control does in your love life. It keeps the story alive. So here's the lesson. Don't rush, don't overshare, don't overgive. Hold back just enough to make her curious. Keep her guessing. Let her wonder what's next. Because in that mystery and that self-control lies the spark that makes love unforgettable. That's the 9th lesson every man must learn. Self-control isn't just discipline. It's attraction in its purest form. Lesson number 10. Build a life she wants to join. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you were working so hard to fit into a woman's life that you forgot to actually live your own? Maybe you adjusted your schedule for her, gave up your hobbies, stopped hanging out with your friends, all in the hope that she would finally see your worth. But here's the uncomfortable truth. When your entire life revolves around her, you stop being attractive. Why? Because attraction isn't about need, it's about value. Let me share a story. There was a guy, let's call him Daniel. Daniel was a good man, kind, caring, and deeply in love with a woman. But he made one mistake. He believed that if he gave up everything for her, she would stay. He quit the gym, stopped hanging with his friends, and even turned down career opportunities, all because he wanted to be available for her. At first, she appreciated it, but slowly she began to lose respect for him. Why? Because his life had no direction outside of her. Now let's compare Daniel with another man I once knew, Michael. Michael also fell for a woman, but he never abandoned his life for her. He kept pursuing his goals, his passions, his fitness, his friendships. He didn't push her away, but he didn't make her his entire world either. And you know what happened? She was drawn into his world. She wanted to be part of it. Because Michael's life had meaning, direction, and purpose, and that's magnetic. So let me ask you, if a woman looked at your life right now, would she want to step into it? Or would she see a man who's waiting for her to bring meaning into his world? Here's the reality. Women are not looking for men who have nothing going on. They are looking for men with a mission, a vision, a fire that burns regardless of who walks in or out. When you build a life filled with passion, whether that's your career, fitness, hobbies, travel, or personal growth, you naturally become attractive. Not because you're chasing her, but because you're chasing something bigger than her. And here's the magic. When you're focused on building your life, you stop worrying about whether she'll stay or leave, because you already have a world that fulfills you. And when she sees that, she doesn't want to walk away. She wants to walk in. Think about it. Would you rather be the man who waits for love to give him meaning, or the man who builds a life so powerful, so full, that love becomes the beautiful addition, not the foundation? That's the 10th lesson every man must learn. Don't chase women. Build a life worth chasing. Because when your life is filled with purpose, passion, and direction, the right woman won't need to be convinced. She'll want to be part of your story. So after hearing these 10 lessons, let me ask you something. What kind of man do you really want to be? The one who chases endlessly, giving away his power, begging for attention, or the one who stands firm, living with purpose, self-control, and strength, letting love flow naturally into his life? Because here's the truth. Women aren't drawn to the man who runs after them. They're drawn to the man who runs after his own destiny, the man who values himself, who knows his worth, who doesn't just wait for love but builds a life where love can thrive. Every great story of love isn't about the chase. It's about two people walking toward each other, not one chasing while the other runs. And when you stop chasing, you stop losing yourself. You start becoming the man you were always meant to be, the kind of man she respects, admires, and wants to stand beside. So remember this, don't chase women. Build your life. Build your strength. Build your purpose. And when you do, the right woman won't need to be pursued. She'll choose you, freely and fully. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.